On the road again. Can't wait to get on the road again. I forget the lyrics, my friends. I just can't wait to get on the road again. Oh, greetings, my friends. Welcome back to Stark Raving. I'm your host, Lord Stark. Well, I'm on my way to the big wedding. In fact, I should be there next week. But this week promises to be no less exciting. I've got some marshmallows ready to go once I start up my campfire, so let that gossip flow. I call this week's events Second Sons.
Daenerys and her team learned that young Kai is guarded by a mercenary company called the Second Sons, led by a man named Miro, nicknamed the Titan's Bastard. Dany invites him and his lieutenants to her camp. Miro and his men, Pendal and Daario, arrive, and Miro promptly insults Dany, crudely propositioning her. Daenerys offers them a place in her camp, mentioning that she has greater numbers than they do, but the mercs are dismissive. She gives them 2 days to decide whether or not they will fight for her. At their camp, Miro talks over Dany's offer. While he says they fight for money, Daario says he fights for beauty. Miro has his hooker draw a coin to see who will assassinate Dany. It's Daario's coin that is the winner. Dany is taking a bath with her handmaiden when Daario arrives. She knows he was sent here to kill her, but he doesn't want to. Daario dumps Pendal and Miro's heads on the floor. He admires Dany's beauty and wishes to serve her. On her request, he kneels and pledges himself and the Second Sons to her service.
You'd be surprised just how effective a recruiting tool nudity can be. It's not generally well known, but when Robert Baratheon was fighting the Mad King, to inspire his troops he did sort of a Lady Godiva ride through the camps. But perhaps I've said too much. When last we saw Arya, she was in a bad way. What's happened to her since the Hound has grabbed her?
Arya wakes up in the Hound's camp. Silently, she picks up a heavy rock.
Kill me and you're free. But if I live, I'll break both your hands.
Later, Arya and the Hound ride on. He mentions she's lucky he was the one who grabbed her. There are terrible people out there, the kind of people that he once saved her sister from being raped by. Arya is shocked to find out they aren't going to King's Landing, but the twins for Edmure's wedding. For a price, the Hound is going to reunite her with her family.
You know, that's funny. While traveling through the woods to the wedding, I saw the Hound yesterday. I never liked him, so I steered clear. But he was traveling with a little boy dressed up just like Arya, and then... Oy vey. Let's cast our eyes away from my embarrassing mistakes and towards Dragonstone.
Gendry is brought before Stannis, who recognizes him as one of Robert's bastards, before he's led off. He questions why Melisandre is drawing things out, and she tells him she needs Gendry calm, lest his fear ruin her spell. Still imprisoned, Davos is practicing his reading when Stannis visits him. Stannis tells him about Gendry, and how the boy will soon die. Stannis frees Davos after extracting a promise from him not to attack Melisandre again. Davos knows that Stannis did not visit him until now, because killing Gendry bothers him. Sacrificing an innocent for gain is not his way. However, Stannis knows that a great battle in the snow is coming, and after all they've seen, they can't deny that Melisandre's god is real. If sacrificing Gendry will give him the power to win this battle and earn the favor of Melisandre's god, how can he say no? Gendry is dazzled by the wealth he's surrounded by. A moment later, Melisandre enters and the two bond over their poor upbringing. Gendry remains reluctant till Melisandre starts kissing him and gets him into bed. While they make love, she straps his arms to the bed, gets up, and proceeds to place leeches on his body. Stannis and Davos enter as Melisandre dresses and collects the leeches.
The usurper Robb Stark, the usurper Balon Greyjoy, the usurper Joffrey Baratheon.
As an unforeseen consequence of that spell, leeches everywhere started bursting into flame. Many people were badly burned while receiving treatment at their neighborhood quacks. They'd have been better off with some serious book learning, like Sam. Speaking of which...
Samwell and Gilly find an old shack they can use for shelter. Inside, Sam wonders if Gilly's come up with a name for the baby yet. She suggests calling the baby Mormont, but Sam tries to explain the differences between first and last names to her.
For instance, I'm Samwell Tarly. Samwell is my birth name, and Tarly is my family name.
Sam hears a murder of crows outside and goes to look. The crows go silent, and Sam is attacked by a White Walker. It shatters his sword and knocks him down before heading towards the baby. Sam grabs the only weapon on him, one of the dragonglass blades he found at the fist of the first man, and...
Ha! And with that one act, Shamwell Charlie, I hereby promote you to badass. He joins the ranks of other ex-nerds who achieved badassdom, like Rory Williams in the original cast of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Except Jason David Frank, he was always badass. But I'm getting off topic. Finally? Oh, there's only 5 story elements today? Alright then. Finally, we head to King's Landing in the first of several royal weddings.
Getting ready for their wedding, Tyrion calls on Sansa. Tyrion knows this isn't what Sansa wants, but he promises he will be kind to her. Marjorie tries to play nice to Cersei, saying they will soon be sisters. Cersei tells her the story of House Rain, a family that was second only to the Lannisters in wealth, just as the Tyrells now are. The Lannisters eventually destroyed House Rain.
If you ever call me sister again, I'll have you strangled in your sleep.
Joffrey has taken it upon himself to walk Sansa down the aisle, and then very quickly but deliberately takes away the stool that Tyrion was about to use. There's a momentary giggle, silenced by Tywin's withering glare, before Sansa bends down and the ceremony continues.
You know, I always thought it was strange that the wedding ceremony calls for you to cover your loved one in a filthy, moldy old cloak.
We cloaks have feelings too. Lady Olenna enjoys twisting her grandkids up over their upcoming screwed-up family tree, what with Marjorie's brother Sir Loras about to become her father-in-law. At the wedding feast, Tyrion proceeds to get nicely drunk, upsetting his father, who reinforces he must do his duty and get Sansa pregnant to cement their claim on the north. Loras tries to make small talk with Cersei, but it doesn't go any better than Marjorie's attempts. Joffrey gets Sansa alone and plainly threatens to rape her.
I know it's been a while since I've said it, but I would like to reiterate. God, I hate that little shit.
Joffrey calls for the bedding ceremony, where the couple is carried to their wedding bed and disrobed by the crowd. Tyrion doesn't want that, but then Joffrey insists.
Then you'll be fucking your own bride with a wooden cock.
Tywin tries to defuse the situation, and Tyrion blows it off as being drunk and takes Sansa away. In their chambers, Tyrion can't bring himself to sleep with her and promises never to share her bed unless she wants him to.
What if I never want you to?
And so my watch begins.
The next morning, Shay enters suddenly, bringing them breakfast, and sees that the marriage has not been consummated before leaving with the sheets.
Oh, that is so typical of the Lannisters. We announce a wedding and suddenly you have to move one of yours up so you did it first and show us up. Well, I've got news for you, Lannisters. The Starks aren't going anywhere. Well, what did I think of these events? Was it the wedding of the century, or will it all end in a quickie Essos divorce? Let's take a closer look.
The wedding provided us with the best acting from Peter Dinklage this season. He gets to play the character with an unusual lack of confidence, and it's always good to see a great actor stretch. He's shy and tentative with Sansa, whom he feels both a great kinship with, as they're both being forced into this situation, as well as a great distance from her, even though she's about to be his wife. He gets drunk at his wedding, but then, later privately with Sansa, we see he was never that drunk. It was more or less play acting to piss off his dad and, perhaps, make others feel sorry for Sansa. Tyrion's fear and disgust of his father shine through in his scene with Tywin and gives Charles Dance some great moments. He's humiliated by his son, but won't let anyone else make fun of him as a matter of family pride. One glance is enough to stop others' laughter, and then we get to see Tyrion's passive-aggressive fight with his dad when he refuses to stop drinking. Cersei had some nice moments with the Tyrells. Marjorie learning her usual tact won't win over Cersei, and Loras being put in his place by his future wife. Diana Rigg had a fun moment as she tries to puzzle through her family's upcoming screwed-up dynamics, but it was only an all-too-brief appearance. Even Joffrey had a great moment. He's so happy wallowing in Sansa and Tyrion's misery, but when Tyrion threatens him, he goes from shocked to furious in no time. It's a fun moment, and one I wish Jack Gleeson had a few more moments like in this season. It's just so much fun hating him. My one complaint was Sansa. She could have shown a little more emotion, maybe a bit of panic at marrying Tyrion, or even disgust or fear after Joffrey threatens to rape her, but she's just the usual shell-shocked Stark daughter. And I'm afraid this wasn't an episode for either of the Stark daughters, as Arya's bit felt like a bit of fluff. I'd rather they'd held off on her kidnapping from last episode and include it with this bit. It would have made for a much more compelling story for her, though I do appreciate a nice cliffhanger now and then. The most exciting moment was obviously Samwell killing a White Walker. I also enjoyed the name conversation with Gilly that showed them getting closer, but that action at the end was one of the season's most exciting moments. And Dany's stuff was good, but honestly, I'm not crazy about the whole liberation of young Kai plot. It just feels a bit dry after she liberated the Unsullied army, just retelling the same story we've already told once. Still, it advances the idea of Dany as a liberator and her eventual development into a political power. The new character of Dario felt empty. It's not like we've never seen a philosophical ladies' man character before. Hopefully he'll get a chance to develop, but it wasn't a great first impression. And the events in Dragonstone felt a little long. The whole seduction turned love scene turned torture could have been a bit shorter if only to ramp up the intensity. But this contained one of my favorite Stannis moments when he comes to allegedly free Davos, but he's really hoping his old friend will give him absolution. To say that it's okay to use someone for his own selfish purposes. And even after Davos says his piece, Stannis can't bring himself to admit he's wrong.
I found this to be a superior episode. By keeping the cast smaller, they were able to hold a tighter focus on the story. There was plot advancement, real conflict and emotion, and some awesome action at the end. I give Second Sons.
Do you have running? Dang!
4 kingly bitch slaps out of 5. Today's question about life in Westeros comes to us from Cinema Cynic. He asks, what Marvel or DC character do you feel would be most at home in Westeros? What's Marvel or DC? I don't... Oh no. Entering trance. That's weird. I was just having a dream about which DC and Marvel comic book characters I'd like to see in Westeros. With DC, I'd choose Travis Morgan, Warlord, the test pilot who wound up in Skataris, a mythical land full of warring tribes and mystical creatures. He'd fit right in there. As for Marvel, I'd go the obvious route and say the Scarlet Witch. I mean, she was tailor-made for the Lord of Light's religion, and there's always the chance she might say, no more Joffreys. If you have a question about life in Westeros, leave it in the comments section below. Lord Stark will choose one to answer on next week's show. Until then, I am the Last Angry Geek, and this is Comic Book Issues!